In this tutorial, we'll create a table and a chart for two categorical variables, starting with a table. We will be using the weights dataset, so make sure that's in your class stat folder. Let's look at the combination of low birth weight by history of hypertension. We can note how they're coded, 0 for no and 1 for yes. And so here we are in SAS. You can find the Bivariate descriptive stats program in the SAS tutorials folder, and you can right-click on it and say copy to, and copy it to your class stat folder, and then open it. So after you've opened the program, go ahead and run your libname statement, and now we can create a bivariate table for our smoke variable by our history of hypertension variable HT. And we start out by doing the same thing we do for a univariate table, which is proc_freq, then our folder, our data set, tables, and then instead of listing each variable individually, we list the variables with a star and asterisk in between them. Highlight and click Run. And here's our bivariate frequency table. For help interpreting all of these different numbers in the table, see the class slides from week 4. Now let's create a bar chart for these two categorical variables. Let's go back to our Code tab, expand our side menu, and go to Tasks and Utilities. Once there, go to Tasks, and then Graph, and then double-click Bar Chart. Let's expand this window. Make sure that we have the right data set. It's going to be in our class stat library, and it's weights. Let's put our exposure in category 1. So our exposure is history of hypertension, and then our outcome, low birth weight, in the subcategory menu. Options clustered side by side, that's good. By default, SAS wants to use frequency counts, just raw numbers, but we would like to see the percents instead. So we can change that and click Run. So now we have a bar chart. We can see that 0 here is history of hypertension, no. 1 is history of hypertension, yes. And then for each of those categories, we can see the percent of low birth weight babies. Now we could interpret one of these columns, for example, this one, as among mothers without a history of hypertension, about 28% of the babies were born low birth weight. Before clicking Run, I could have added a couple of other options over here. So I could have gone to the Appearance menu, I could have added Show Labels, Set Color, I could have added display labels, I could have added a title and a footnote here, so you can play around with those things. And when you're satisfied, you can either save it or not. I'm going to X out without saving, but you could press save so that you have it handy again. So now we're back in our SAS code menu, and I did just want to point out that if you would also like to include the missing values in your table, you can just use a backslash and add missing, but all the other code is the same.